to my channel. In the last video, we made this conveyor belt hardware. In this video, we're going to start the programming of this conveyor belt and hopefully make it work. Hope you're all ready. Let's get started. Now we are here to connect our sensor and the wires to the controller so that we can do the programming. To connect it, please take one L connector, one H pin with a 5-hook beam attached to it, two long glue pins, one 5-volt beam, your infrared sensor, this double-ended bar with cross beam hold on one side and connector hole on the other side. Then take a black pin and then take a 5-volt beam. Now take your model and place it like this. Take the 5-volt beam, put the two long glue pins, half on one side, half on the other side, like this, and the second one to the other end, like this. Now here, place it on this side and firmly attach it so that it does not fall off. Then take the H pin connected to the 5-volt beam and place it on top of it like this. It will snap into it. Then take the bi-hold beam and place it on the second uprising of the H connector. Then take this hole, take your infrared sensor, put the 5 cm beam like this, and then towards the other end of here, place it like this so that it faces the conveyor belt, like this. And as you can see, it's into position but it's still moving like this. So here there is a hole. Attach the small black pin in here. Take this L connector, put it like this in here and join it in the next uprising of the H pin, just like this. And now as you can see, it's not moving, it's firmly connected and it's at the correct angle. This is our sensor connection of our conveyor. Now take two wires to connect your sensor and your motor from this port and from this port by the wires. Take two wires, one of the large size and one of the small size. Fix the wire of the large size in the port of the infrared sensor and then connect it to port 4 like this. Then take the small one, put it into the motor connection like this and snap it into the P port on the other side. Please remember that the motor wires cannot be connected here and the sensor wires cannot be connected here. This will be our wire connection so that the controller can transfer the programming into the motor and the infrared sensor. So this is our software for the programming interface. Now we will be going to start a new project because we want to do it on the conveyor belt. So I'm going to go to the new project, select a new program, click here and then open. We will name this program as conveyor belt. Here. So first, I hope you all know that we want our motor to move. We want our conveyor belt to move
continuously, because that's how the objects will be transferred. For that, we will take out our move large motor, because there's only one motor, and that large motor is connected in the board B as I showed you. So the power of the motor can be anything, but we want it to be continuously on. So we will select on. That means it's permanently on, nothing to stop it until the battery is run out. Now as we have done the arrangement so that the motor moves continuously, let's move on. So what do we need to do is that we need to make our every object count as it goes on the conveyor belt. That is not too hard, you just need to listen how I do it. We go to the data operations tab. These are all the math blocks and the variables, the constants and things like that. So how we will count is we need to assign a variable whose value is 0, because if we haven't passed the object yet, the value will be 0. So when we assign the variable, as soon as the first object passes, we will add a value to the variable and then display it on the brick. That will make our objects count, and we will do this by the help of the sensors. First we will pick our variable block and we will name our variable as add a variable, and the variable name will be, let's say, variable 1. Written this variable and its value is 0 only. So as we have assigned a variable now, we need to make the objects count, which we will do with the help of our infrared sensor. So infrared is usually used for remotes and all of those things, but in this we can also measure proximity. Proximity is the object between its sensor and the nearest thing in its range. It ranges from 1 to 100. As I have shown you the connection of the infrared sensor, we need to measure its proximity. So when we will measure its proximity, and then we will need to compare it to a fixed value, so that we know that if it's less than that, that means a new object is passing. If it's more than that, that means no object is passing. So let me type the compare block. So whatever it measures, we will need to transfer that value to there are two variables there, A and B. A will have the value that is transferred from the measure of proximity by our infrared sensor. So if A is, let's say, greater than B, then if A is greater than B, that means if the proximity is more than the decided proximity, which is 1, then something will happen which we have not decided as of now. So what should happen is that the value should be increased by 1. So as we have already created a variable whose value is 0, we need to add a value to it. So first we will pick out our variable and we will put it to the read numeric value, and we will read the value in the variable 1 and then add it. So when it reads the value, it needs to transfer it to the math block from which we can add the value. We can add 1. So if we connect the data wire to A, then it will do A plus 1. So here there are two cases possible. If it will measure the proximity, and if it's not greater than 1, then what will happen? So we need to have two conditions as of now. So which we will do by the flow control block. There is this switch block which offers 2 or more conditions to us. So I am going to switch this to the tab menu, and as of now we need logic which has only two results, either yes or no, if the proximity is more or it is less. So let's do it logic, and then we need to transfer this result. Now we will transfer the data wire into this, because we need the results to be transferred to the switch block so that we can decide further. And if it happens, then of course this has to happen. So that's why we will select this and put it in the yes column. There. So that means, as of now, that the motor will of course move. We will assign a variable whose value is 0. Then the sensor will measure the proximity, which if it is greater than 1, then the variable will be read and value 1 will be added. And now we need to add the new value to the same variable. So we will select another variable block and we will write the value as numeric in variable 1. So we need to add the value as +1. We don't know what's the initial value because this needs to be infinite. How many objects are passed, we don't know that. So that's why when we will +1, we will only add that value to the variable. So we will again connect this by the data wire so that it's done. Now moving on, we need to display this value on our brick. So for that we are going to go to the brick display and put it right here. So what will happen is, when this whole thing happens, then I guess we should also add a sound, because a sound like a blink or something like that will do good. So we will add a sound also, and we will add a tone, or you can add anything like that. I'm just keeping it as default. It will sound a tone, and then we needed to display on the brick, which we will do by another data operation block, which is text. So the text needs to be things equals to, and then in the C block we need to add how many things are there. So that needs to be the same as this, because the value that is being transferred into the variable is the value that needs to be displayed. So we will just add the same value by the data wire to our C block. There. And then this value we need to display it on the brick. So we are going to do it wired, because the data wire will transfer it. So we will choose the category wired, and we will take this value and display it here. And then you can add any column like 5 and 5. That's the measure of row and columns in the brick. That doesn't really matter until and unless the information is just clear. So this makes our program for the making of the conveyor belt. So one thing we need to do is that, one thing which is an error in here is that the value cannot be greater, it needs to be less, because when it will measure, the object will come in front of it, so it needs to be less. So we will do less than, and it does not need to be 1. That we will test by doing the infrared. Let's keep it as a value 15. I hope it will work. Let's see. And one more thing, last thing. We need this process to repeat infinite number of times. So we will add a loop after the variable, because this is constant. Then we will select all of this. First select this, add it in here, and then select this block and also add it in here. Then connect the data wire again. So I guess I forgot to tell you one thing, that in this we had first selected image. Please change it to the text option, because otherwise it won't show the display. So now let's test it on our brick. Do it pixels or grid, that depends on you. The columns will be adjusted according to you, and just connect the data wire. wired and then connect the data wire. Thank you. And now let's test it.
Now I guess we have done all the edits that we wanted to, and now is the testing time for the program that we have made. This is my brick, and on this I'm going to select conveyor belt and let's run it. The motor is working and I have got my touch sensor as my object. Let's see. It senses it as the first object and the reading comes. Now let's place it again. It again comes as things and the correct number of things come. Let's test it again then. It again does it, 3. By now I guess you know that our project is successful. Hope you like this video. Please like, comment and subscribe.